Alright, try number 3 here with getting this out, but basically I wanted to show a couple of odd nuances with the tabs feature. I tried to report a bug, but people were saying something else, and then they quickly closed it, and I felt that was a little premature. I mean, I found a bug, I'm trying to talk about it. I also need a feature. I think I'm realizing that as well. So here's the deal. I'll just demonstrate it. So if I go to preferences, what the person said who I wrote about the issue was that, you can turn on show advanced, and it will show you these added things, and it will try to, I think he felt that I was confused about setting it per file type, which is fine, and maybe it was confusing the way I reported the issue, but the bottom line is that there was a lot packed into that small amount of text that I wrote. And so here's the deal. If I change this, that's great, but before I even get to that, there's a problem, and here's the problem. I do not have allow file contents to override. I don't know what that would mean for like a text file, especially a code file, but I can understand that if it has tabs in it, maybe the file would be more inclined to use the tab features than the spaces indent. Fine, that's great, but I've set everything to 1.1, and I've said not to allow the file contents to override anything. I would like another checkbox that says actively conform file to these tab standards or something like that. Indentation settings or something like that, because that's what I really want. So that's what I came for, because I don't use tabs at all. I like to use just spaces because everything interprets a tab differently, and for some reason they just get messed up in different editors. So why not just use a space? Things are always indented the same way, and you can follow it along. People argue that one space is not enough, that it's very difficult, but with all of the lines, look at this. If I click here, I get a line. I don't need to worry about how wide this space is. Also, there's this thing, I can see it's one in, and that kind of helps me keep track. It's just a lot easier, and I can fit more code on the line. So that's why I do it, but the thing is that I don't always use my own code. So for certain file types, maybe I want 4 characters, which is what this is set to. And I notice that there's little dots here that mean leading spaces. So I know there's spaces and not tabs. And I think through process of elimination, I've learned that the right arrow means a tab. Well, here we have a C++ file. And if you go into, I just loaded it, and if you go into my preferences, you see it does not allow the file contents to override the tab and indentation settings. So why would it not conform it? That's point 1. Now, point 2 is that it didn't conform it. So I can understand why, for Python specifically, you don't want it to change things about your tabs. You want to protect your tabs. But in C++ or whatever other language that's loose about tabs and spacing and indentation, it should be up to you, and that's what I thought I was doing. I was setting my features to be 1, and I wanted to say convert tabs to spaces, even. If I wanted that, or if I could do that, that'd be great. Now, I made that point several times. What am I getting at? Well, watch what happens when I hit the tab button. Okay? There's a tab before this, and it's only 1 character. But if I hit the tab again, it's gone all the way to this line, which is the indentation line. I can show it to you by doing that. Now, that's not what I said, and why is it doing that? It's trying to make what I said not to conform, so that's a bug or an oversight. Now here we have another situation where this is how the file was when I first loaded it. Well, no, it's not exactly. Let's see here. Well, it's not exactly. It had this little arrow symbol, and you might remember that. If I hit tab now, it takes you there, and it continues to take me 7 characters out every time I hit the tab, even though I've said 1 and 1. So there's that oversight. But in addition to that, this active feature that I keep mentioning should work something like this. All of these lines should be right here. I mean, that's what I would do, but I have to do it manually. And so I have to go through. It actually should be right there. Let me zoom out a little bit so it's not quite as annoying. So you can see, now, in order to get that, I have to go through and convert everything. I want something. I don't want it to be up here or anything. It would be this tabify region, but what I really want to do is untabify. And I'd rather it was just done by saying, hey, force things to conform to these indentation standards. So, you can see here that this is correct. But up here, I had to do some things. And it sits out this far. And it's not perceivable to me where it decided to put this line. Because if you'll notice on a line that's indented, it's picking, the 8th character or 8th column as the beginning of the next tab. And that doesn't make sense to me. I didn't say to do that. I didn't allow it to do that. And it just did that. Why would it know to do that? And if it's in the file, yada yada yada. The bottom line is that it doesn't I can see here that there are spaces. There are little dots here. And so those are spaces and not tabs. But yet there's a tab there. I mean, are you telling me where the tab is, or are you not telling me where the tab is? I just think this area needs a little bit of attention paid to it. Well, thanks for listening. These are my comments. I'd really like that to work. Bye-bye.